Yeah,
Hello,
got it.
beautiful humans. Welcome back to another episode of Naked Sunday. I am your host, Caleb Nelson. And I got my friend, Mike DiCioccio, on podcast today. It's been a while coming. We've been trying to talk about getting you on for a little bit. And here we are, my friend. Bro, welcome to the show.
Caleb, my man, thank you so much for having me. And I feel bad, dude. I showed up originally. I wasn't wearing anything. He's like, no, dude, this is gonna air. There's a YouTube channel. Like, you're gonna get my channel shut. I'm like, dude, Naked Sunday. I thought I was invited to the party. Birthday suit style. My birthday was just a couple weeks ago. I was celebrating, and he's like, bro, throw a shirt on, get something looking good, and you're gonna be on camera. So I apologize for the delay.
I mean, I
And
was vibing.
you were vibing for a minute there. Yeah.
We're ready to go. I was like, oh, okay, we're going
I've
literal
never
today.
seen you
Let's do it.
speechless. It was literally 60 seconds of you just being speechless. You've never seen anything like it before.
I don't know if I've ever
Hey
told
man,
this
thank you
on.
for having me. We're
That's
keeping
a
this
hell of a way
on.
to
You're not
start.
going to edit this thing. This is the
No, I
way we
don't.
start. Naked Sunday. Here we are. No, dude. I wanted to congratulate you. I just found out that you are going to be a father to be, bro. So congratulations.
It's the
That's
I've
good
told
stuff.
few people this. I've never been certain of anything in my life except for
Yeah.
this, that I've always known I wanted to be a father, and the time is ticking. August is
I'll tell
coming,
you what.
so it's exciting.
It's the best thing in the world. I have my daughter, as you know, Isabel, and we could talk about fatherhood if you want, man. She just
Yeah,
turned 9 on Sunday. So, talk about Sundays. She just turned 9 on Sunday. I had kind of a midlife crisis. I'm only 38. Some people are afraid to share their age, but I feel like on my 38th birthday, which was just a couple weeks ago, people were like, "Why you seem so down on your birthday?" I was starting to freak out. I'm like, "I got 2 years left of my 30s, man. Like, sucks." And and then my daughter hit, her ninth birthday on Sunday, and I had it all happen again. The floodgates again of getting emotional about time passing because, when you hold your son or daughter for the first time, do you know if it's going to be a boy or girl, by the way?
we don't know yet. No, we will find out
Not
though.
yet. Yeah, it's too
Yeah,
early. Yeah,
yeah.
oh, you're not going to do the wait until the last day, last moment.
No, no. I
Um,
want to know a little bit ahead.
yeah, you gotta paint the room. You don't want to go yellow. You don't want to go gray. You gotta get the colors going. But what I was going to say is, and every parent says this, and it sounds cliche, and time flies. Oh my God, enjoy every moment. But dude, it's like the bundle of joy in the hospital wrapped up in that everybody starts their first, blanket is that white blanket with the pink and blue stripes on it, and everybody gets the same little hat. I just remember holding my daughter. I gave her the first kiss right on the nose, and so now every time I get off the phone with her, or if I'm tucking her in at home, she lives with her mom. If you guys couldn't figure out why we would be talking on the phone, so I get to see my daughter on a couple weekends a month. Did end up getting divorced a few years ago, but my daughter and I are super close. Like, she's my bestie. She's my sidekick. We always do the nose kiss thing. And the reason I'm sharing that with you is like she's 9 already. And I just remember that magical moment you're talking about where you knew you wanted to be a dad. That's super exciting. The next few months are going to fly by, and then your life will be changed forever. And I think for the better, in a way that you're going to have this new purpose, everything. You're going to still take care of yourself, and you got to take care of yourself to take care of others. But there's nothing like loving on your own kid, man. And I'm really happy for you. What's your wife's name again?
Lexi, and thank you. Wow, yeah,
Lexi.
Lexi is.
Lexi.
Yeah,
Congrats to Lexi as well. It's gonna be a magical time, bro. And yeah, being a dad is the coolest thing. Like, that's my favorite role. Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I got a team. I got my family I love on, but like, just being a dad is the coolest thing you get to do. Telling lame dad jokes just never gets old.
dude. If there's one thing I'm really looking forward to is like being to fully embrace that cheesiness and just being
Yeah,
ridiculous like that. I send dad jokes to my buddies all the time just to just do
yeah,
stupid shit just because I think it's
yeah,
hilarious. I'm like, oh, I'm just in training mode right now. I gotta flex these muscles. Can't come in. I gotta be ready to go and just like embarrass my kid with these hilarious things. So
yeah. They'll appreciate it. They'll roll their eyes. But they'll also know, like, that it's just a great little thing that you do with your dad.
yeah,
And personality will shine. The thing I'm most proud about Isabel is her creativity, her just passion and love of being silly. I mean, she definitely got the traits from me and passed on from my dad of just knowing when to be serious, but also just having that goofball mentality. Um, and it's really cool. Her personality, you see it every year. It just keeps growing and growing. And she's her own self now, obviously. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of fun, man, being a parent. That's really cool. Congratulations. It's gonna be just incredible. The first few years the different changes is really cool too. Like having a newborn is special, and the baby, pretty much it's whatever you're doing, the baby's doing kind of thing, except for when it needs to be changed and all that good stuff. But like, it's just kind of chill. Like it's your baby's just gonna chill with you. And then it gets into crawl stage where you're constantly looking out for every sharp thing in the house that could possibly be dangerous to your kid. Then is the running around phase where it's like, okay, I'm getting a little exercise here. The baby's just constantly running around. And then from there on, it just takes off. You're like, how old are you? Two? Blink. 4, 6, 8, 9? Just goes so fast, man. But it's really cool having a sidekick like that, and the thing I love, it's kind of crazy. I'll share this. Like, I'm a divorced dad, right? So her mom, Isabel's mom, and I were married. We were together for 10 years. And I got a divorce. That's actually where our business side. I know you cover business and entrepreneurship and personal and physical health and spiritual health and all kinds of cool stuff on the show. But really, where my shift in my life happened is when I went through this divorce. And I guess we can start my story there if we want. I feel like there's Mike 1.0, birth up until 31, and there's Mike 2.0 that I'm living right now, which is after my 31st year, and that's when the divorce happened. Um, Again, I was with Laura, my ex, for 10 years. We were married for 6 of them. Um, Isabel was born during our marriage in 2015. And when things started to go south, you know, and the divorce happened, just allowed me, like, up until that point, I was I was providing for the family, but I started to make some sacrifices that nobody asked me to make. My ex-wife did not say you can't do anything fun anymore and you got to go to business. But like, I was in insurance sales, and I was also a store manager at a retail company working for Fortune 100 and 500 companies, and some really cool opportunities. Did well, was climbing the corporate ladder at every position I had, always taking like training to manager to be and all this stuff. And I was a store manager at one point. Um, and I had this business trajectory. Every job I had, I always wanted to see what's the next step, and I wanted to climb as high as I could with that company. That was just my mentality. And I was happy to do that for the family. But by the time I turned 31 and I was going through the divorce, I looked myself in the mirror. We were separated. I was in my apartment that I had at the time. Looking in the mirror, it was the only thing hanging on the walls. You move into a new apartment, it's completely bare, stripped down naked. The whole thing is just waiting for you to, whatever. And it was a reflective moment. I had all my boxes, everything in there represented the past. Literally, I had like yearbooks from when I was in elementary school packed up. I mean, I had every life possession in all these boxes. And the only thing that was there hanging on the wall at the moment was the mirror in the bathroom. And I remember standing in there and I look up and I look at myself and I basically say, who do you want to be? Because like the 10 years prior to that moment, I was really getting into dad mode, father mode, like husband mode, business Mike version. And I was happy to be that person, but I realized it wasn't really who at my core and in my heart I really wanted to be. So in this moment, the super early, call it a quote unquote midlife crisis, if you will, super early, I just was like, who do I want to be? You know, Nobody's got a gun to my head telling me I have to do this or have to do that. And that's really where my entrepreneurial journey began. I said, I'm going to leave corporate. Every time I got a cool idea, they always give me we got to run that up the ladder. And there's some department and some board of directors that needs to approve it. And I just remember thinking, man, like, I want to be on that level where I can just make a company decision. If I have a good idea and I want to run with it, it doesn't have to be so political all the time. So I was listening to a lot of podcasts back in my sales days. That time, like I said, I had a lot of sales jobs. I'm on the road driving around. I called it the University on Wheels. Podcasts were teaching me things, life lessons, things I wasn't learning in the classroom. At that point, I had a bachelor's degree. I did pretty good in school. All the stuff I learned in school was to learn it for a test, forget it after the test is over, move on to the next grade, move on to the next class. What I was learning in podcasts was life developmental skills, self-belief, um, affirmations, right? I was learning about gratitude. All the great people I was following talked about gratitude almost all the time. I'm like, what is this gratitude thing? Be kind. I'm like, what? Like, isn't that just normal to be kind? Like, all these great little principles that were built. And the Mike that you see in front of you right now, Caleb, is Mike 2.0, who has been educated through podcasts. And I just fell in love with the medium so much. It got me thinking in ways I wasn't thinking before. Now I love to read as well, but I honestly don't read as much as I do listen to podcasts because I'm engulfed in that world all the time. And I know I'm talking a lot and you're kind of just downloading this in your brain right now, but
It's
I'm
all
gonna
good.
let
Enjoying
you
it.
follow up with me. But to hit this home here, what ends up happening is, you know this, you were on my show. I launched Mic'd Up, my own podcast, in November 2019. It was like a passion project of mine. Like all these great podcasts I was listening to inspired me, and I felt God tugging on my heart saying, Mike, again, why not you? Like, who do you want to be? Create your own show. Get cool people like Caleb on your show and they can share their story. And then I just learned how to really get out of the way. And normally on my podcast, I don't talk a lot. That's probably why I'm talking more now because I'm the guest this time. I get to share my story, but I do the opposite, bro. You know that. I usually get out of the way and I let the guests shine. And that just became a gift of mine. I've had a lot of great people come to me and say, Mike, you're doing a great job with your show. Like, this is what you're meant to do. And then about a month into it, one of my video clients, because at that point I started Social Chameleon, which is my own media and marketing company. I launched that a couple years before the podcast. And so in 2017, after the divorce, after asking myself, who do I want to be? I was on top of my game at corporate America, but I just said, sorry, guys, I'm out. Here's my 2 weeks. And nobody could believe it. They're like, why? You're having like a Pro Bowl season with this company. Like, why would you leave? You're getting paid more than most 31-year-olds in your area. Like, why would you leave that income? Like, because like fulfillment's more important to me. Like if I'm 31, if I don't make this decision now, I'll be locked into something like this for 30 years. So I'll look back, I'll go, what the hell did I do with my life? Like, I don't want that. I've seen it with other family. My dad passed away a couple years ago. He was only 69, didn't even hit his 70th birthday. Like, I know that, time's ticking, bro, and we don't know when that ticker is going to stop. So, um, I made a decision to take the leap into entrepreneurship. I never read a business book in my life at that point. I mean, I was listening to podcasts and stuff, but I didn't have a plan. You know what my plan was? Believing in yourself. That was my game plan. If I'm gonna fall hard, I'll fall hard, but I know I'm not afraid that I'm not gonna get up. I know I'll get up. I'll figure it out. Um, and I did that. I got crushed. I jumped out of a plane without the freaking parachute or the instructions on how to build it. I slammed real hard into the ground. But you know what? I'll tell you what I learned in that first 6 to 12 months of becoming an entrepreneur isn't what you're going to learn at Berkeley in a classroom. You're not going to learn it, dude. The relationships, what it takes, running a back office, um, what you have to do, properly set up your taxes, working with attorneys, building a team, working with other people in the industry and learning from them, collaborating, all that stuff that I learned, the real skills that launched me into who I am today were learned because I got going. That being said, I do now recommend that somebody can have a little bit more of a runway than I did. Learn, bring the parachute with you if you're in an airplane. And also, if you don't have one yet, learn how to build one. So if you jump, you don't have to have the bumps and bruises I had. So I will admit that I was definitely, um, I don't want to say stubborn. That might not be the right word for it, but I was a little bit more just went with
Cavalier.
emotion and not, yeah, I was more cavalier, I guess, in the decision. But here's what I want to tell you. 1 month after I launched Mic'd Up, one of my media clients that I was doing testimonial videos, like they had this big conference down in Florida. We made it look good. I brought a videographer with me. I was kind of the director and producer of it. threw some music behind it, chopped up 3-day event into a 2-minute video, made a really nice corporate video for that company. And when they saw I launched Mic'd Up, they emailed me and they're like, "Hey, our board of directors has been talking about launching podcasts. We have no idea what to do. We don't want to do it. We want the show, but we don't want to do any of the work." I was like, light bulb. I love doing this stuff for myself, for my own show. I could add this as a service to Social Chameleon. Like ding, 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 makes so much sense. Did that. And once I started doing that, 2 clients, 3 clients, dozens of clients, coaching clients on how to launch a podcast. No, Mike, just do it for us. I had a bunch of those. Last year, and the year before, we hit 6 figures, like, and just in podcast clients alone. And I know that that's just showing that there's proof of concept. And now 2024 is all about, okay, how do we continue to grow and build the right processes and things like that? But why I share that story is I didn't know where I was going, my next step necessarily. I didn't sit there and over calculate what I was going to do in business. I just knew that something cool was going to come from hanging with the right people, being creative, getting started. And it's funny that the name of the company is Social Chameleon. It wasn't intentional for this meaning, but the fact is I do shapeshift. Like I find something I love, I create something from it, and then I see where it goes. And Mic'd Up was what I created after I had the media and marketing company going. The things we were doing I didn't really love anymore, like website building and SEO and Facebook pages and Facebook ads. There's other people that can do that stuff. I wasn't really as jazzed up about it. We did pretty good, but it wasn't like what I wanted to keep running with. But the podcast side of it is what I fell in love with. And so right before the pandemic, that's when I decided I was going to pivot. And I know pivot was what everybody did during the pandemic, but I was a little bit ahead of it unintentionally, didn't know what was coming. But I just said at that point in time, my mentors were helping me, Mike, you're doing too many different things. And I said, bro, I'm gonna focus on podcasting. This is what I love. This is what we're gonna do. And I kept the name because Social Chameleon is someone who can be social in different environments. And, whether I'm talking to Caleb or I'm talking to a 90-year-old man, I'm still Mike, but I would deliver the information maybe a little differently,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm still being genuine to myself. So that's how the company pivoted into a podcast agency. I don't know if you knew that part of the story.
I did
And that
not.
leads me into where I'm at. No. So, I mean, I think a lot of people, when they see me, hear me, or connect with me on social media, they're kind of seeing the Mic'd Up podcast first. And then they're like, "Oh, you do Mic'd Up. Is that how you make money?" I'm like, "Well, kind of. I mean, I have like dozens of shows I produce. This is my show, but I actually have a company that produces podcasts. That's the income producer. My show is like I don't golf. I podcast and interview people. I love it. So
I feel about the same way
there
about
you
a lot
go,
of things,
bro.
bro.
Fire hose. That's what I've been doing the last handful of years. But now, how do we
Woo.
bring value to your audience, man? Like, what could we chat about here to bring some value to your audience?
Let's start with this. At the end of the day, here's what I believe about podcasts and why I think any service-based business should have them is that you don't actually buy the service. There's a lot of people who do the service. You're buying the relationship,
Hmm.
and people are buying the story behind the relationship. Hey, are you willing to share yourself? Naked Sunday, I've told a lot of people when people come on the podcast, like, what am I doing? I've had a lot of people there. I'm the first podcast ever. And they're freaking out. Like, oh my God, I've never done this. And like, let me tell you my approach. It's 2 friends having a conversation, and my entire objective is to make you look awesome. That's it. Like, we need to be real together. And awesome to me is somebody being their true self. We all got shit. We've all fucked up. We've all done the downs, the ups, the twists, the turns. We got baggage. We got shit that's going, or maybe we're letting go of that baggage, whatever it is. Especially when you float around the entrepreneurial world, things start to get people. You shared a couple things like you jumped in without the parachute and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
People start to see numbers rack up real fast. Go, this is what it costs to do business. Consumers have no idea why. Why does it cost this much? If you saw the back end of this, you'd know exactly why it costs this much. This is actually a steal.
Right.
This was the
Yeah.
company driving like trying to find the best price to give you a great deal of, like, and still also pay for yourself. Now, of course, there's the premiums and all the other things. I obviously love also the high ticket space. I think there's a lot of value in that because now you're making space for wiggle room.
Hmm.
Well, if you're going to pay a significant fee or a significant ex- investment, is what I think is the more appropriate word. You're investing in a relationship and you're trusting that that person can guide you through stuff. And that's the real, like, people that think that their thing is going to go off without a hiccup is kind of ridiculous. If anything, you actually rather have the hiccups happen early because you just see how that person navigates problems. And that's why I
Yeah.
like a free form thing like this. The value is not so much like, hey, what are we going to talk about? So everybody else knows that we think about this kind of stuff. And that's it. The value is, oh, no, no, you're a real person. You happen to do this thing. Cool. I don't like, somebody might be like, I'm a parent. That story sounds like me. Who? Okay, you get it. Like, you're running a business. You took a leap of faith on yourself. You understand me. You empathize with how I feel about stuff. I got my dog barking in the background. So many people are like, I want to see your dog today. Like, okay, he's gonna
Yeah.
come party in a minute or two. Ty, come here, bud. As
Yeah.
he wants a treat. We were just talking about that
Yeah.
earlier. Like, we're in a place, I think, starting by just being ourselves is the value. And with that, I missed a part here that I usually do. What I start with most episodes with is why I appreciate my guests. And what I
Hmm.
loved was there was no, like, I feel like we took the filter off there. It was very on brand with where
Hmm.
we were going to go today. You're like, take it Sunday. That's what we're doing here, right? We're just going to be real.
Yeah.
And you're just like, here's me. Guys, they got nothing to hide behind. This is my story. Hey, by the way, I was divorced. I had this. This is how I feel about my kid. There's love. There's like, there was a range of emotion. There was a range of experience. And I value that. How else do you get to know somebody if they don't tell you what's going on? I told a
Yeah.
friend of mine earlier, I was on a call with her, and it's like, as much as my wife thinks I can't read fucking minds. I can't. I would
Yeah.
like to know what's going on so that I can be better of service to whatever's going on in somebody's life. So I thought that was really valuable. Plus, I just loved the 1.0, 2.0. You know, that's beautiful. I
Let me
think,
say this, Caleb. I think,
yeah, go for it.
not to interrupt your like summary on that, because I do appreciate that you're reflecting on it, and that's a really it's a sign of a great host. Like you're like already like, you know, um reflecting on what we were just talking about. But something that I encourage everybody who's listening to think about is hopefully they're not reliving the same year every year. I know some people who
Ooh,
do this. Like, we get together once in a while, you might get a drink with your high school buddy. And what's the high school buddy talking about? Oh, remember that time when this kid did that thing and that prank? And hey, dude, we talked about that last time we got together. Like, what are you doing now? Oh, dude, remember this guy? Like, we were in that band together, and yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool. And what do you got going on now? Same stuff every year. And it's like, oh shit, this guy's like reliving the same. He's like stuck on a record. Like, guys, scratch that record. Whoop. Like, okay, we're gonna do something a little different in 2024. Because man, like I was talking about earlier, not to be all morbid, but we don't know when our end date is. And certainly if you're getting an opportunity at life like we do, I relive the same thing over and over, man. Like, still be yourself, but we should be learning. We should be challenging ourselves in different ways. You know, hanging out with different people that level us up, people who we love to be around. When your phone rings and you got some people you see their name pop up and you're like, man, I'm so happy they're calling me. Like, they make you feel good. Like, how do we be more of that person to other people? And it's certainly not being the same version of yourself over and over again, because they're going to see your name and be like, I know what he's going to talk about. The same crap, different day. So the 1.0, 2.0 is kind of the pre-divorce, post-divorce. But I know, like, I'm kind of in this 3.0 version of me right now, where I've learned
Ooh.
from the first handful of years of business. And now it's like, okay, what do I do with that knowledge? I don't, there's years of struggling. You don't want to just keep doing the same crap and expecting different results. We know that's insanity. So I'm in kind of this 3.0 version now. Um, I will admit I'm kind of back out, finally feel like I'm ready to start dating again and just being a little bit more vulnerable there. I intentionally kind of shut that door. Um, and then recently, it's funny, I was talking to someone and they're like, doesn't sound like the door's all the way shut. Cause whenever I talk to someone, if I see something, I'll be like, man, that person is just a steal. Like that's just a great I want to hang out with that person more. She's awesome. And it's like you got to just let that happen. You can't if you're closing the doors. It's like I said, you're going to end up reliving that same year too many times. So I've made those mistakes. That's why I shared on this show like this, encouraging you and anyone who's listening right now. Thank you guys for being with us. To not do that because the idea is that we're constantly changing. It's exciting. Life should be an exciting, new, fresh challenge.
Let's explore this a little bit because I think there's two evolutions you're talking about. In a way, what I was hearing is, and perhaps you said it directly, so forgive me if I messed that up, but what I heard a lot about in becoming a father, and I feel like that was a big part of what's made you a better entrepreneur, a better business owner. I'd like to hit that piece. And then I want to explore a little bit about relationship stuff because I, my wife has challenged me to become a better business owner. I've had to think about my life differently. So I'd love to explore that together and some of the deeper
Yeah,
concepts that I've realized in that. But I'd love to take like some of your biggest lessons selfishly because I want to know like what am
sure.
I the greatest gifts of being a coach for 15 years now is like I've served people who have been affluent because usually, especially in the fitness space, people are paying for that kind of service. They have more money. It was people with leadership
Hmm.
stuff, and they were just giving me their life lessons. I was getting paid to learn what is going on here, and
Hmm.
like it's an incredible gift. So I love to just hear like how did your daughter make you a better business owner, make you a better person? Like, what are some of the big lessons about yourself just through her?
That's a great question. I've never had that question asked to me, and I don't think I've ever directly reflected on it from that angle as far as how she's made me a better entrepreneur. That's a really cool thing to consider and think about. The first
Mm,
thing that comes to mind is that the thing when you're a parent, and you'll know this, and I'm sure you already do, kind of feel this knowing that your baby's on the way coming in August, is that the key to parenting is that it's not about you anymore. It's about this other person. So you're coming from a place of giving, not taking, number one. And in business, when you come to a meeting, a partnership, a client proposal, pitching, a commercial, marketing, everything, your mission and vision statement, if it's about you, nobody gives a shit. Like you got cool stuff. Yeah, man. All right, cool, Mike. We'll check it out. But when it's like, how can I help this other person, this other party, this other company, this other partner, just like you would help your kid, you're not thinking about it. I got to help my kid today. I got to help my kid today. No, like you just wake up and you're a dad. You're going to take care of your kid. I certainly hope so. I know there's some people who don't necessarily do that, unfortunately. That's a whole nother thing. But I'm talking about like coming from this at a loving, healthy place. And so I never thought of it. Like you just asked me that question. And the first thing I thought about is, a great quality is caring for others first. Not saying you put yourself last or anything like that. You got to take care of yourself. But yeah, I think that kind of it's about them, it's not about you mentality in parenting definitely rolls over into business. Um, was there a second part to that you were starting to get into, or did you want me to open up a little bit more on that?
Oh, keep rolling with it. What a
The sec,
phenomenal way to think about that.
thank you. And the other thing too is what better inspiration to be successful, and success can be anything. It could be monetary, it could be that dream home they picture you and your children in and your spouse, and your day off because you're going to hustle, but you also want to make sure you're rewarding yourself with some downtime to spend with your family. You love these people, you love them so much that you want to spend more time with them. The idea is not to work more and play less with your family. So what inspires me is more time with Isabel. And how do I get more time? Well, I got to keep kicking ass, build a bigger team, have more clients, have more profit, because profit equals Mike being able to pay everybody a little bit more, including myself, owner's comp, which allows me to have that extra weekend off, vacation off, and I still haven't really quite got to that level. But the one thing I do have now that Isabel inspired me to do is be more present with her. And so I've actually schedule my time better with her. Like the weekends I do have her, it doesn't make sense for me to have a business call on a day I have my daughter because I only have her 6 days out of the month, sometimes eight. All right. There's 30 days in a month. If I don't run my business in the other 28 days like a banshee that's inspired to be with my daughter the other 6 to 8 days, then what is that? What am I saying? Now, I'm not perfect. There are days when I'm traveling. She lives in Philadelphia, dude. I'm in Buffalo. And a lot of Buffalonians, if they're tuning into it, know that because they see I got the Bills Mafia shirt on today. Bills Mafia, my friend actually coined the term accidentally. We can share that as a side story in a minute. But I'm not perfect. For example, my daughter lives with her mom and stepdad in Philly. I'm in Buffalo. That's a 6 hour one way, 12-hour round trip weekend trip. I'm happy to do it. But if I properly had all my crap done, I can leave the house early enough to get her from school, I would have to leave at like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning on the road. What usually happens is Friday morning, I'm just finishing up all my client work so I can be off Friday night, Saturday, all day, and Sunday. And I usually get there around dinner time. Sometimes even I'm a little bit later, depending. But then Saturday is Mike is vanished. You can't, I'm, you know, an emergency situation, sure. I check my emails before I go to bed. If there's something that's, I get the team involved. But for the most part, 5 years ago, I wasn't the greatest at separating business and personal. Mike was just Mike, and now there's very much dad mode, business mode, and I've been able to decipher the two. So how Isabel has inspired me to be a better business owner is her inspiration to spend more time with her, which she hasn't come to me, but I know that she's a 9-year-old kid. What is the number one thing that I can give my daughter? Right now, it's not even money. Right now, it's not even a new shirt. It's not new toys. The number one thing I can give my daughter is attention. Real time, quality time, present, great listening. Our kids don't necessarily know all of that. They don't know what they're, Daddy, I really want you to listen to me. Not going to probably say that. But what she's going to do is know that dad's on his phone, dad's on his laptop, dad's talking to someone else, dad's schmoozing a business person over here. And I'm like just an afterthought. Or what toys do you want to pack up in the car? Let's hang out at the hotel. Let's get lunch and bring your favorite action figures to the dinner table and tell me about them. Who are these characters? What shows do you like watching? What's new since last time I've seen you? Listening. Oh, I like Alvin and the Chipmunks, one of her favorite shows. And she's got a birthday party. When she's in Buffalo next, we're going to celebrate because she was with her mom on her actual birthday. We're doing an Alvin and the Chipmunks birthday party. Why do I know that that's going to be the best thing for her? Because every time we're FaceTiming, it's on in the background. I know she watches it like every day. It's her favorite show. If I wasn't paying attention to those things, you're telling your kid that they don't care. You don't care about them. And you might actually care about them, but if you're not mindful, they get the wrong impression. Um, and so that's important in business too, because if you're thinking, how is this deal going to be good for the company? How much money am I going to make? How much profit is this going to make? Again, me, business, 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 not how are we going to serve this person so they literally love their podcast. I'm thinking about my own company right now. We want them to love their show. They're going to share it with everybody. This is going to be solving their purpose. Like, how exciting is that? Someone has their actual mission, and their podcast is going to serve that. And how can it serve our mission, right? As a company. When you think about things that way, that's equivalent to spending time with your kids and actually being interested in what they're saying, what's in their heart. Are you actually are they just there or are they actually there with you? Um, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm super far from it, but something I am mindful of that I'll share if people can do what they want with this information is I involve Isabel in everything that I'm doing.
Hmm.
Um, we go to a restaurant. Who do you think pays for it?
Does she pay for
Yeah, she does.
it?
I give her
Does
my credit
Alvin?
card.
Oh,
She's
so
9.
she gets to
I give
engage
her
in
my
the
credit card.
actual.
They bring the bill. She puts it in a little slider. I say, here's what we're going to do. Did the waitress do a nice job? Yes, Dad, she did a good job. Should we give her just the average, basic, minimum, bottom end of what someone should get tipped? No. Do we give her a nice tip? Yeah. All right, here's what a nice tip is. Write this in 20 dot, 00. Okay, cool, or whatever it is, right? You give the tip, and then this is where Daddy signs his name because you got to sign your name when you pay with a credit card. Or we'll go up
Mm.
to the machine, and it's everybody just taps it now, or you do the slide, the chip reader. I don't do it. I have her do it, right? We go to the gas
Life
pump.
skills.
Here's how this thing works, right? We go to the next thing. This is how life works. And again, I'm not perfect or anything, but I think she appreciates being involved in what I'm doing as an adult because kids like that stuff. Like they don't just want to be in the back seat with their stuffed animal living in a secluded world to what's really happening. You remember, I remember, I'll just speak for myself growing up and kind of thinking, I wonder what they're doing or what's going on over there. What are they talking about at oh, Dad went up to pay the bill. I don't know how that works, but okay, I guess we'll just go on to the next thing. So she hasn't necessarily said, Dad, I appreciate all this stuff, but I do know that when she's 14, 16 years old, and she's starting to make some of her own decisions and, getting her own first car and all this stuff and having some responsibilities, she's going to know how those little things work, and it's not even going to be a thought. Um, those are two random examples that come to mind, but there's a lot of those, and I'm not trying to speak negatively of my ex-wife or anything, but I know recently she went on a vacation. Isabel was being watched by my ex's mother-in-law and her mother and stuff. So they had babysitting going on. And I was talking to Isabel, and I'm like, "Oh, where'd mommy go?" Now I wasn't trying to be nosy. I just thought, "Oh, cool. She went on vacation somewhere. Like, was it a beach vacation? Was it a theme park? Was it where the heck did she go?" I didn't even know she was leaving town or whatever. That's pretty important for me to know, obviously, co-parenting our daughter. Um, Isabel's answer was, I have no idea. No idea. So like if I was to go somewhere, I would let her know this is what Daddy's doing. I got this really cool conference. It's in this place called Chicago. Oh my God, I'm gonna take a picture. There's like this bean that's like silver, and I'm gonna send it to you. You're gonna see. Now she knows where Dad's going. And then when I FaceTime her, I'm at different restaurants in Chicago, right? Or whatever. She's included in the process and she's part of our partnership. Opposed to she's just a kid. She doesn't need to know anything. She just play with her toys in the corner. I'm going out of town. I'll see you in 3 days. Where'd mom go? I don't know. It's just, again, I'm not trying to make that sound bad or whatever, but that's just not my style. My style is to include. So how does that pertain to business? Your team. An organization that just has employees that are told to do tasks versus this is our mission statement. How do you feel your energy can work within our company? And then always putting people in the right position. You think of a baseball team, there's going to be outfielders. They got to be fast and have a big arm. You got your maybe faster guys with really good precision in the infield. Maybe your less athletic guy playing first because he's not going to be running around as much, but he's got to have a good mitt. He's got to be able to scoop a ball out of the dirt. You get your catcher who's a very specialized team player, um, athlete and what they're doing. And your pitchers are your pitchers. Obviously, they're specialized in one very specific thing. You got your batters in the lineup. Everybody, this guy gets on base. This guy hits when there's runners in scoring position. This guy, is a tough out. So he's going to make the pitcher pitch a lot. So when we get to the sweet spot of our order, it's all design. And your business is about, to me, putting the right people in those positions. I don't want my shortstop playing left field. And so when I interview people for the company, I just let them kind of do what you're doing here with me. Just let them talk, share about themselves. Who are they? What do you love? What makes you excited about podcasting? Where do you see the podcasting space go? How do you see yourself involved in that? Now I know where someone wants to be. Now they might start off as an editor doing audio, but all of a sudden they're like, man, I really like doing video. Now I got video projects. Am I going to go hire a new person or the guy who's doing audio? Should I expand his role to do audio and video? I got someone doing audio. They like to write show notes. They're clever. They're a good writer. Should I hire a new show notes person or maybe give it to this guy who's already in place who wants more responsibility? And now you come to them and you say, hey, I remember you told me this 6 months ago. You kind of were, you said, hey, if there's an opportunity for show notes, you wanted to take it. Let's talk about that. What does that tell that person? They were seen, they were heard, you care about them, and you are backing up what you said. Earlier, I said I want the company to expand and grow within the people we already have on the team. And now your actions are speaking louder than your words, right? So you do that with your family members, you do that with your kids. I would hope you do that with your team members if you're a business owner. And yeah, I think it all really ties together. Running your family is very similar to running a business. And they're both extremely challenging in different ways too.
Well, there's a lot of unknowns, and I love what you're talking about there. Even the let's use this your kind of example of the trip to Chicago or whatever. Here's the pictures, here's the things, here's what's going on. That's client experience in general. Hey, how do I feel at every step of the juncture? I gave you my money. What's next? Those
Hmm.
little steps, a lot of people don't even think about these micro steps in the beginning when there's the natural buyer's remorse, when they're feeling a little bit unsure. So think about, okay, kid, there's distance between now and when I'm going to see again. Is everything okay? Am I all right? That ability, what I think most people need to realize that most of running a business from a client centric standpoint is helping them navigate their emotions, because somebody who's coming to you to invest with you has a problem and they're feeling insecure about it, whatever that means. But underneath that, yeah, you tell them, Ty, with a little bark in the background. Underneath that is, I don't feel confident in myself doing this alone. I'm trusting somebody not only with my words and my brand, but with my money as well. How do I
Right.
show this person who took this leap of faith with me as a responsible, integrous business owner? How do I think about their feelings at all these steps so I can minimize this roller coaster of emotion? Because, especially as a business owner, you know what it feels like, a roller coaster of emotions. Man, when that one company took care of me and made me feel seen and heard, made me feel appreciated, just said thank you at this moment, gave me a little check in at that moment, followed up on that other thing. Oh, they paid attention. I knew
Yeah.
I was seen, and the analogs between those two things are the congruency between both relationships at home and in business are quite obvious. And you did a great job. I'll talk about, like, hey, I changed some of my time management a little bit because I needed to make sure, hey, I got to be at this time. I need to be focused. Business,
Yeah.
if you're Ty, come here, buddy. Daddy's got a bone for you. If you got a, as I'm talking about time management, I'm dealing with the barking in the background. If
Yeah.
you've got the craziness from your last, say you had a rough sales call or somebody had to complain about something, or you got a
Right.
rough thing from home, and you walk into your
Yeah.
next meeting and you're not there, you're still thinking about that person in front of you,
Hmm.
they paid you for you on your expertise right now. Like, I'm paid
Yeah.
for you to be
You got to
like
be able
little
to turn
emoji
that
thing.
off.
You gotta be able to turn that off. But if you don't know how to transition your energy,
Yeah.
you don't know how to go, okay, how do I buffer that? And we're all human. We need some grace period sometimes, because to think you're a
Yeah.
robot is an insane thing. The more I look at business, more importantly, leadership is about helping
Hmm.
regulate other people's emotions. But to do that, you must first learn how to regulate your emotions and navigate being solid on you. Go ahead.
Think about it like a kid. Like again, if Isabel and thankfully, man, she's been pretty good. She's had a few meltdowns in her life, but I've been pretty blessed that she hasn't had too many of them. But when those kind of moments occur, you're as a parent, you're like, oh my God, how can I get through this? What can I do? What can I do for her? What does she need? She's screaming. It's a blow up moment, right? It could be like the same thing that happens in business. Arguments, maybe a team member has an issue, they have something personal that you got to deal with one on one or whatever. A client has a situation. My phone is lighting up right now because someone just paid pretty big bucks to rent out a studio and recorded 6 episodes in that studio in Vegas, and the company didn't put their fifth or their sixth episode in there, so there's one missing. It's not our fault. I mean, the company that they recorded with didn't include all 6 of the files that they were supposed to. Now my phone's lighting up that we got to come up with a game plan to figure out how we're going to compensate for that. Stuff like that blows up. You got your kid you're going to take care of. But the thing you need to do as a parent is the second you step out of that room, out of that situation, and you diffuse it, you go, and now the next person who you interact with, are you going to be like a tizzy? Yeah, you might appear or look a little disheveled because you just dealt with it. But what you do is, and athletes are great at this, really good quarterbacks and really good cornerbacks in the NFL have to do this. You throw an interception, you got the quarterback needs to be confident on the next throw that they're going to throw it to their own team and not the opposing team. And they're going to do it without second guessing themselves. Because the second there's a half a second of doubt included in that, that's all it takes for that ball to go to the wrong team, right? A cornerback, they get burned on a big play. The receiver runs way past them, touchdown. The next play, they got to be confident in themselves that they're not going to let that happen again. Because you better believe it that the quarterback's going to challenge you again if you just gave up a big one, right? And as a dad, your kid just had this big blow up argument, kicking and screaming. You got to be ready for that next moment, and you got to just shut out what just happened, military style, and be ready for the next thing. And when you go from sales call to sales call, it's the same thing. The last person was just an a-hole and they just were rude and this and that, and your energy is way off. Hopefully you take 30 seconds before you accept into that next meeting, whether it's prayer, meditation, personal reflection, maybe you laugh. That thing was crazy. All right, on to the next one. Let's wash yourself from whatever the hell that was. Go and be the next best version of yourself. And the coolest thing about being human that I don't think a lot of people take advantage of is that we can't control ourselves for the most part. We can control our thoughts, our feelings. I mean, we got so much. We're a computer system that's in control of it for the most part. I mean, health, obviously, we can do the best we can to take care of ourselves. But I'm talking about our brain. I mean, for the most part, we have control over our thoughts, our feelings, what we say, what we do. And I think a lot of people just go with the flow and they let the day kind of adapt and change how they're feeling. And you could literally stop and say, I was not happy in that last meeting, but I don't have to be angry the rest of today if I don't want to be. Like, I'm meeting with, like, I was running around. I was a few minutes late to this call, right? To this interview. And you're like, dude, everything okay? I was running around taking care of some stuff. And I literally sat down and felt totally disheveled. But I did just what we're talking about. I'm like, I've been looking forward to being on the show for a long time. Caleb's a great friend. He's a good dude. And I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to bring it to the audience, even though I got all this other stuff from today on my mind. You got to just be able to, I said military style. What I just mean by that, I'm not saying you got to be like a killer or like a Marine or I'm just saying you got to be able to shelf it so you can then proceed forward without the weight of that thing changing who you are as a person.
Leadership's a fun thing, eh? It really is not
Yeah.
easy. And
Yeah.
you made a very astute
No.
comparison of like a lot of times business ownership. I heard somebody say it once. How they say it was like you're trying to fly the plane and fix it at the same time. Constantly. It's a never ending,
Yeah.
this is the journey of what you're
Right.
doing. Uh and a lot of times we just burn the ships and go into it. It's like right off the cliff. Let's see if we can fly this thing. It's scary.
Well,
It's a
what's the
wild
first thing you
ride.
think of? Like, oh, you're flying, you're the pilot, but you're also the mechanic. That's a problem. So the first thing we would think of is solution, hire a mechanic, get have someone be in that the CFO or to your CEO or whatever, right? Or hire a CEO and you're the founder and president, but there's a CEO who actually runs it. You guys are kind of the two-headed captains. All right, that sounds like it just solved the pilot and the mechanic problem. But do you think that two people now running an organization is just going to automatically be smoother? I got this thoughts. Mike, I don't think what you're thinking of is the right thing to move forward. Oh, crap. Now all of a sudden we got differences, differing opinions. There's challenges to all kinds of top end leadership. The C level people are, the board of director type roles we're talking about are healthy, but there's challenges there too. So it doesn't mean that once you solve a problem, you get the mechanic now, so you could fly the plane. Um, there's going to be new challenges. So my point in that is you always got to be learning, changing, adapting, growing. Remember, I talked about earlier, don't keep living the same day twice. You know, if you're the pilot, you want to be learning about the best way you could pilot a plane. It's likely going to be different in 2024. Someone who's learning how to fly a plane than 1984. So, yeah.
I like that a lot. Well, there's a couple things that just that led to, which I think will now lead into some fun things as I asked about relationships before, because the next piece is the interpersonal. As you're
Hmm.
exploring the opportunity or potentiality of dating world, I told you before, my wife has
Yeah.
for sure made me a better business owner. I've had to learn how to be a better listener. I've had to learn how to prioritize better. She has made me realize things about myself. She held space for me to go on my own journey. And I think that's incredibly profound. One of the things I'm talking with her about right now is levels of relationships. So most people think like, oh, independence is the thing. It's the highest form of like freedom. And I told her this like that is not it. It's interdependence, where two independent, fully capable individuals come together and
Hmm.
choose cognitively, consciously, and are aware of their strengths and shortcomings and
Sure.
choose to align together for a common vision. That's
Hmm.
hard because you have to, as we just talked about team stuff,
There's a lot of
that's
giving.
really just, there's a lot of giving, there's a lot of listening, and there's a lot of like, we're constantly together flying the plane and fixing the plane. How do we make sure we do this and then keep the family happy while we're doing it as we build a team
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
however you navigate the relationship? Um, I just opened the door to that. I don't know where you take it. Maybe if there's some thoughts about when you are now looking at the prospect of bringing a new relationship to your life, how you see that impacting your business. What are maybe some of the boundaries? What are some of the questions that are even going through your mind? Because there's plenty of people who've had gone through a divorce and I mean, this one of the most, I saw this statistic, one of the key indicators of a long life is having healthy, fulfilling, intimate relationships. So,
Relationships. Yeah.
yeah,
Dude, this is a good question, and it put me on the spot here. This is very fresh, I mean, we're recording this in early February, so I don't know when this airs where I'll be at, if I'm in a relationship or whatever might be happening, but I'm just sharing it. At this moment, I am single. Let's just be clear. Someone's listening, it's like, what's he talking about being single out there? He's dead when I see him. Um, no, humans are connectors, humans are relators. We are built for community. And we're obviously physically built to interconnect with one another. And so, um, when you're single, which I've chosen to be now for a little bit of time, just to kind of focus on the business, my theory on that was the business needs my attention. All right. If you don't get, I hate this, I'm not going to use it. There's a saying about, when you're not taking care of something. Well, I'm going to say it now because you're wondering what the hell I'm talking about. You know the saying redheaded stepchild, like you're not taking care of it. Oh, it becomes the redheaded stepchild. Stupid saying, but basically your business becomes that if you're doing all this other stuff. Oh, I'm going to get into a relationship, so now like my nights need to end earlier because we need to Netflix and chill, or you're not giving them any time. It's important to give time. So I just knew in my head to give my business the best chance for it to work, I really have to, it's a sacrifice, but just be all in on it. And I was cool with that, right? But that's a period of time. That's not a forever decision. And that period of time has been going on over the last couple of years. I did date for a little while. I was in a pretty serious relationship with someone for several months. Didn't end up working out, but it's kind of funny because right at that moment, after that moment, I got refocused again and kind of hermit crabbed up a little bit. But then you spend enough time there, so then eventually you can get yourself in a situation where you can go and give your time to someone. But I'll say this, when you do over focus on, intentionally be single so you can focus on whatever it is, your business or something, um, or if you're, an athlete, and you just want to focus on your physical fitness and your sport, and you want to practice all the time, and you just feel like maybe dating the summer right before tryouts is you don't want to do it because you need to be focused by September. You might be going into the NFL, and if you kind of goof around that, period of time, the rest of your life can be changed because you missed your opportunity. So that person might be inspired, someone probably mentoring them, take care of yourself, don't go out, don't party, be smart. So I was kind of doing that, but I'll tell you, on the flip side, humans are connectors, we're relators. I was starting to feel like a little bit like I was dying inside. Like the guy, Mike is a person, I'm speaking myself in third person, which is a little weird, but I'm a person who I love taking care of people. You're smiling right now. I feel so good right now seeing you smile. Honestly, I just enjoy making people happy with my goofiness, with my jokes, whatever. Family, I love my mom. I love doing anything for her, treating her out, taking her out for dinner. My daughter, my favorite thing about being a dad is just making her happy. Honestly, it doesn't have to be monetary. It's time, it's fun, it's energy, it's all that stuff we talked about. And when you're not doing that with someone that's like a soul partner, a little bit kind of feels like it's dying inside. So as much as I was focusing on business, I still wasn't 100% complete because I felt incomplete in there's a big side of myself that is that relator and relationship giver, that lover, the person who gives in a relationship. So it really messed with my soul, felt like it was all out of whack. And recently, something I do mention and talk about on Mic'd Up a lot is mastermind groups and the power of being in a mastermind group. Um, I meet with a bunch of guys, about 14 entrepreneurs. It's open to guys and girls, but we happen to have all guys in our group. So it's a bunch of Christian men who are entrepreneurs that we talk about family, faith, finances. It's kind of the three things we talk about, business in particular. And, when I connect with those guys, we take turns rotating on kind of who's on the opportunity challenge hot seat, right? So it was my turn, and I was just sharing my heart with them. And, on the surface, they know like Mike's building Social Chameleon. He's got this cool stuff going on. He's got multiple, he's running all kinds of dozens of podcasts, and seems on the surface he's doing well. But then when I'm talking about kind of feeling like my soul has been put on ice, they're like, dude, you know what? Like, that's who you are, man. Like, that's your heart's beating, but you're kind of depriving it. And so that's why I started to think, man, I know I need to be focused, but the right partner will see me as an entrepreneur and know how much I'm dedicated to this. And like you said, respect a little bit of time boundary, but also I can be refocused and re-inspired like I was with Isabel. I'm going to have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off with her a couple times a month. I'd be an idiot to pack my day with business meetings on a day I'm with her. Well, when I'm with my partner, if in the near future, let's say that happens, now it's just a new challenge for myself and a re-inspiration and focus to get more done during the day. So maybe a couple nights a week we can Netflix and chill, and on Saturday nights we can go to a nice restaurant, and on Sunday maybe half the day we catch up on work, and half the day we just don't allow anyone else but each other in our lives to spend time together. It's a balance. They have their schedule, their business, their thing that makes them run, and I have mine. And I love what you said. One of my favorite things anyone's ever said, whether I'm guesting or hosting a show, is you talked about how two partners are individually kind of, I don't, you use a different word, but I'm going to say kind of like satisfied as individuals. Like you are yourself. You're independent. I think independence is the word you said. two independent people, totally fully functional, but they come together. And what was the word you used?
Interdependence.
Interdependence. The way you describe that, I think, is so important. And when you said that, I'm like, that's it. He's unlocking something in my heart and in my head right now, that the thing that the 3.0 version of Mike is going to be interdependent with someone who loves me, respects me, and cares about me and what I'm doing. And on the flip, I'm doing the same thing for them interdependently. I'm totally cool being Mike. They're going to be totally cool being them, but it's going to connect interdependently. It's a beautiful way to look at it.
Glad you enjoyed that, man. I've thought long and hard about that. And I'm also somebody who has burned the midnight oil, who's fried a few relationships upon my entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah,
And I've
right.
both business and personal. And that reflection took me a long one because I realized I was coming to relationships not whole. And there's
Totally.
the problem is you start looking for people to fill the void for you and solve your problems, looking for a savior, but the savior lies within. That's the
Hmm.
hardest thing to do, to take ownership of that. So I'm glad it even resonated a little bit because it's a hard one to
That's
come to,
another
but
part of it, though, dude. That is another part of it. You want to make sure that's another reason I was kind of call it secluded intentionally, like hold myself out of relationships or really kind of dating and all that is I wanted to make sure I was doing what I could to be the best version of myself. Now, the one thing I can improve on is my physical fitness and do all more of that, but I just want to make sure my heart was right, my mind was right, my time balance was right, my equilibrium was right. Like, just if I'm going to get into a relationship, they're going to get me as Mike as a great version of himself. And I didn't quite feel I was there because there's a lot of stuff I was balancing and juggling, and I wasn't sleeping quite, the right amount of time. So I was always just never felt like in entrepreneurship, dude, there's going to be adversity is coming at you. It's inevitable. You're going to be very rarely are you standing on a solid base. You're always going to be moving. You're one leg in the air. You're running here. You're running there. So I kind of felt like, man, for me to be a great person in a relationship, a great partner, I need to get myself right. But at the same time, you and I know, are we ever 100% right? And that's part of the build. You're constantly growing, you're constantly changing. Goes back to what I said earlier, is that leveling up over time. So that's kind of why I have recently got to the place of saying, all right, the door is open now. It's unlocked. Maybe the door is closed, but it's not locked. And the sign says, you can come in, you can come hang out, and we'll see what happens. Before it
it's
was
not.
boarded down. There's freaking boarding on it. The lights were off. I was the one house on the street on Halloween that had their lights off. That was me before. But now
Oh.
there's some lights going on. The door is open. There's a welcome mat.
Oh, dude, you crack me up. Yeah, excited for you. What I've learned
Yeah.
in all coaching is that you're not full, especially since it sounds like you're ready for like something deep and meaningful again when it comes to that and the
Two
richness that
two
comes
key
with it. And you,
words. Those are three key words. Look at you go.
I
Deep,
got all the adjectives
rich,
you need.
meaningful. But those are three things when you're looking for a relationship. That those are three valuable.
The key here, and maybe you've heard me talk about it on a couple of clips or something like that, but in coaching, I think this is a great
Mhm.
thing to describe to people. Coaching is about closing the gap. So beforehand, you described like I needed to go get straight on me. Who is this person, especially after you come off a relationship that's staying, maybe your confidence down, all that kind of stuff. Like, could I really do that? So if you think about coaching or guiding anybody on anything, mentoring, whatever the word you want to use, but the recipient or yourself, because you might be coaching yourself, is you see 1,000-foot gap. You have very little confidence. The goal is to take that 1,000-foot gap and make it seem like a 1-foot step. And when you feel that moment, then your mind opens to the possibilities, but you won't even give yourself permission emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever it is, to take to even look in that direction until you feel grounded enough, stable enough, or close enough to that place where you can take the shot. And people can force it as much as they want, but until that moment happens, that's just not reality. So that's really cool that you went, and yeah, that's why building a foundation is so important. And most people don't
Hmm.
understand that. You got to go crash your foundation a few times and realize it wasn't stable to begin with, to say, let me go dig a little deeper and make this a little more solid before I welcome some new abundance. And a relationship is abundance, but relationship abundance comes with responsibility, because here's a new
Yeah.
person with new needs, new wants, a whole mountain of decision trees that might happen every single day with that person that I care about, that might emotionally affect me. There's so many things that come with that. So, long way of saying, dude, awesome
But
that
we're
you took the
designed for
time.
that. That's what our bodies and our spirits are. I said the word connected. We're connected humans. Like that's what we do. And so, especially if you're with the right person, all of those you're firing, your wiring is like your fuses are going off in many different ways, right? If you're with the right person, there's gonna be challenges in every relationship and stuff, but there's gonna be more good feelings and bad feelings, I would think, right? Something you just talked about. I grabbed my phone because I just screenshotted this a couple hours ago. You're talking about if you want to go a million miles, you take that first step and how important a step is per day. Check this out. Ready? If you want to save $3,000 a year, do you know that you only need to save $8 a day? If you want to read 30 books a year, oh my God, 30 books, no freaking way, right? 20 pages per day. 20 pages, that's like maybe 15, 20 minutes. For me, maybe 30 minutes because I'm a slow reader. All right.
Not if it's
Walking.
audiobook.
You want it 70 marathons per year. How ridiculous does that sound, right? Do you know what that equals?
Can only imagine.
The average recommended walking, which is 10,000 steps per day. It's not even
Wow.
not that much, right? 10,000 steps per day gets you 70 marathons per year. So never underestimate the power of small habits. But that was really good.
Dude, I love that. I like some of those like
Yeah.
little simple breakdowns like that. Like, oh, that's an everyday kind of thing that I could handle. I just don't go to
Yeah.
Starbucks twice, or name your thing.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And
Yeah.
taking a
And
look
three
at the
grand,
time,
that's like, oh, I need to
that's
get
a
a new
lot.
MacBook Pro and, invest in this for my business for that new course I want to take that they keep following up with me and they say it's 3 grand, but it's going to change your life and you just never do it. You're like, shit, how am I going to come up with 3 grand? Well, I mean, look, you probably have like Peacock or Hulu or Paramount or Disney or something that you watch once a month that maybe you can talk yourself out of. That's $8. Well, that's once a month. We're talking daily, but there's going to be different changes. 8 times 30, 240 bucks, right? You're going to find something you're spending 240 bucks on a month that you could probably eliminate. Everybody has it. Just one thing, two things. It's a tweak. It's maybe you're married, so maybe you're using one car instead of two, so the gas mileage, whatever it might look like, you can save 240 bucks a month. That ends up being 3 grand, which with 3 grand you can now make a pretty substantial purchase, and that can change your life for the better. When you think is $8 a day going to change my life for the better, there's not much you can buy for $8 that will. The
Yeah.
Starbucks Frappuccino, Crappuccino, Mappuccino with cinnamon on top, $8 drinks are
Not
pretty
doing
damn
anybody any
good, but
good.
they're not going to change. They're not going to change your life.
They're,
All right.
well, at least not for the better long term. So, unless you meet the person of your dreams at that one Frappuccino moment, but chances are.
I actually know a friend of mine did meet their spouse at a Starbucks, which is kind of funny,
So
but
there we go. Look at that kind of irony.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think it was the
Rapid.
$8 that changed their life though, but I got you.
No, it was. I was ready at the right time. Um, that's hysterical. Actually, I didn't even think about that. My dog is literally losing his mind right now. He just wants to be part of
It's
the,
because you're
the
giving
part.
me attention and not him, dude. We were talking
Dude,
about it
he's
earlier. What do our children need? Our pets, obviously, same thing. They want our
they
attention. It's
feel
all they care about.
they feel the vibes. They know. Ty, right here, dude. I gave you a treat, homie.
Yeah.
Oh, man, whatever. let's rapid fire these questions because I did see the time. I was like, oh, okay, I gotta make sure I'm on time for them. Rapid
Let's
fire, a
roll.
little
Yeah.
lighter questions, but they are deeper stuff underneath it. Ty, come here, right here. Number one, what sports did you play? Part one, that's part 1A. Part B is how did you play them?
First thing was T-ball. I was an average player. I had the heart for it. I wasn't super gifted. Um, Positions, I played first, second, a little bit of outfield. And then in high school, I played tennis and I was above average. I was like on the first team doubles team. Was not good enough to be first, second, or third singles. If tennis players out there would understand all that. But I was pretty decent. I still love to play tennis now. I need to create more time in my schedule to do so. But yeah.
You know what I like about that answer is that similar to your chameleon, you fill different roles and you play different spots. And
Hmm.
the reason why I bring that up, I ask that question all the time, is that I get cool answers from everybody all the time. And when I was in college, I took a class that was all on play, basically. Christina Cortland's big on physical education, and I had to take some of those things.
Hmm.
And I didn't appreciate it then. But now I look back and I go, all of your tendencies show up in how you played whatever creative activity. And a sport is a creative activity. You're creating a result. So, hey, as you mentioned, like I'm that kind of guy. I'm a connector. I fill different roles. I see from different angles. I kind of know how to do these things. I blend in,
Right.
play different positions on the field, play different types of
Yeah.
sports, mix it in. There's something beautiful in that.
That's what social chameleon actually is. That's why I use it as the name of the company.
Imagine that. It's almost like who you are has been staring you in the face all along. Number two, island movie and show and why. So basically, you're stuck on a desert island movie or desert island for the rest of your life. You got one movie and one
Mhm.
show, TV show that you can watch for the rest of your life. What are they and
Oof,
why?
man. I would if it's stuck on repeat, I'd want it to be comedic, because it'll be lighthearted and
Ooh,
you um man, that is a tough one. That is so tough. One of my favorite comedies of all time. It's definitely seasonal. It's Christmas Vacation. That movie is never. I could watch it 100 times, and I probably have, and I laugh at it every time. So maybe that, but the island, I would have to pretend it's Christmas. It would have to have like some Christmas lights and stuff. So I'd be wearing my Santa hat. I love that movie. It's hilarious. Um, Two of my other favorite movies, kind of that I'll just share real quick. I always loved the movie Jurassic Park because I remember how big it felt when I was at the theater, and I was with my brother and my little friend, my buddy. I was like 7 when it came out. My buddy was 5. He was hiding under the seats and peeking in between the seats to watch the T-Rex and everything. And I just remember that cinematic moment, and it was literally a larger than life experience. And I just thought that movie was really, really well done. The way Spielberg directed it, there's a reason to me that the first one is still the best movie out of the 6 or 7 that they made because of the way that Spielberg directed it. These newer directors are missing something and you can feel it. My other just like feel good series that's like a family series is Toy Story. I love Toy Story. I
ooh.
think they're great movies. I think parents get emotional watching them, kids love them. The characters are all awesome. I just think the Toy Story series is awesome.
There's something powerful about a piece of art, well, and a movie is a piece of art that can transcend all audiences, that can touch universal hearts and souls. And if you can
Hmm.
feel, I mean, a kid is laughing because of cute things and feeling things from a different perspective. A parent seeing it from a completely different lens, but it can hit the same heartstrings in a uniquely different way. And that's
That's the
so
magic.
cool.
Yeah. And the fact that
Yeah.
that it was like the first Pixar movie that was of that magnitude. They didn't have it all figured out, but it was magical the way it came together. I'll say one other quick movie answer, because there's like cult classic, like a cult type little off movie that's maybe not what you'd expect. I love the movie Desperado with Antonio Banderas. One of my favorite characters is El Mariachi. He's got the scorpion jacket, long hair, walking through like the dark bars. He can there's 30 guys, one versus 30, and he takes them all on. There's just something about that campy Robert Rodriguez movie I really love, Desperado. It's great.
Very on brand with your movie stuff. You like a lot of different genre. You like a lot of different style,
Yeah.
and like the
Hmm.
comedy. You talked about that to begin with. I like it
Yeah.
light. I like it playful. I like to make people feel good.
Hmm.
Again, the art that we connect with says something about us. I love it. I love it. Third and final question. There's an A and a B. What's your deathbed meal, and who are you sharing with? Why?
Oh man.
I guess kind of a three C.
Deathbed meal. My favorite meal food I've ever eaten is my mom's, which is my grandma's recipe, homemade manicat. All right, we can say manigat, manicati. You Americans will pronounce the I on the end, but we say manigat. All right, homemade. It melts in your mouth. There's a problem with it. My digestion doesn't like dairy anymore, and I got a cheese inside. That's a problem. Once a year, I will literally destroy my guts for homemade manigat. Audience didn't ask for all that information, but if I'm on my deathbed, who cares? Bring it on. I will eat 15 of those damn things. And who I'd want to be with? Right now, the answer is Isabel. But any close family member, Isabel, if I do have more children, a spouse, hold my hand. Um, yeah, man. And hopefully peacefully and not some crazy fast situation or actually with dying slow, I guess, is really the worst thing you could do, right? I don't know. I just want to be peaceful and with the closest people that I love in the moment.
I love that.
Yeah.
Also, again, keeping with the theme, family, connection, the past
Yeah.
and the present and the future. The reason why I asked that question is that I believe that the person holding our hand on our deathbed is showing us the culmination of our growth in our life. I wrote a speech called "The Window in the Mirror" for my as the officiant for my brother's wedding years back, and that was the title of it. And for whatever it is, the people across from me in my life, when we think we're looking, they say that there's the classic, the eyes are the windows to the soul, but I
Mm.
think we don't recognize it's also a mirror. It's showing us something about ourselves, and I think when we can look at the world through that lens, even when it's somebody that that we think we hate, what we really are seeing is a mirror of our own self issues. So if we can
Good
use
point.
that lens, I've learned, especially the more I stay with the people that align me with my vision and mission, it reminds me of where I'm going because they reinstill that belief in. And in the end, the person they're sharing it with us is a reflection of the highest growth we've done. And to share a meal, I fundamentally believe world peace is going to be solved one family dinner at a time. So that's why I like to make a little thing about that.
I
So
like that. Yeah.
yeah,
Good
I like
stuff,
to share
man.
the story behind it,
Have
man.
you have you ever had homemade manicat before?
I have not, so I'm going to have to have that with you. I'm inviting
Yeah.
myself. I want
Come on,
that. Let's go.
you're invited to Christmas dinner one of these years and you'll get it. So
Yeah,
you
my
got to come
wife
to
will.
Buffalo and help us shovel, 8 feet of snow and you'll be good to go. Like it'll be worth it.
I'll do it. It'll be worth. I'll feel like my body is prepared for the blessing that's about to be shared on the plate.
Now
So
you know why you got to
yeah,
eat 15 because you're going to be so hungry. You need that energy to shovel out. We literally got like 6 feet of snow, not on Christmas, thankfully, but in Buffalo, a couple weekends ago from Saturday night. That's why the Bills game, we had to move a playoff game to a Monday because there was 6 feet of snow that dropped in like 48 hours. It's crazy. Yeah.
brave
You can't
souls out there,
operate.
man.
Everyone's like, oh, play football in the snow with a bunch of wimps. Like they would play in the snow. The players aren't worried about playing in the snow. You're trying to get 70,000 people in vehicles on throughways and highways and like local driving, and there's 6 feet of snow that was just dropped, and there's visibility zero. Like that's the actual true thing. By
Yeah,
the way, if
people
anyone
got
heard
things.
me talk, I'm pointing at you want to know how Bill's Mafia started? My friend Del Reed accidentally coined the term, and I'm just going to have you Google search the episode "Mic'd Up Del Reed," and he'll tell you how the story happens on my show. There's my little transition to Mic'd Up.
I love it. Yes.
Mic'dUpPodcast.com, socialchameleon.us.
I was just
Throw
gonna
them in the
say.
show notes. Throw them in the show notes for everybody.
I was just gonna say, like, so we're at this point, like, how does everybody get in touch with you? Like, they're like, I want to
Yeah.
launch a podcast. I just want to hear more of his stories. I want to hear how he hosts guests, all those things. Everything that Mike
Just
just
show up
said,
to
everybody.
Christmas dinner. Show up to Christmas dinner, everybody. We got room for you.
We're bringing the family
Find out how
truck
big
and
your
everything.
audience is.
Well, I'll
Three
find out
people
real
show up.
fast.
I don't know. Caleb, we got to talk about your marketing. No, dude.
Yes.
Mike.podcast.com. It has all my links to, if you want to check it out on YouTube and Apple, Spotify. You don't have to think about all that. Just go to mike.podcast.com and click on the link that you want. Social Chameleon is our podcast production, done for you service and coaching. That is socialchameleon.us. And on YouTube, just type my name in, but I know it's the funky last name that you might have a hard time. So just hashtag mic'd up, MIKEDUP, and you'll find it.
I love it. Dude, this is fun.
Yeah,
You had some great
this was
stories
great.
today, man. I loved your reflections. And let's
It
leave
went
our
by
audience.
fast.
It did, didn't it? I was like, oh, I looked up like, oh man, I better pay attention to the time. I was like lost in your stories, which love that. I mean, there's nothing I enjoy more than just hearing people's stories. Like it's such a gift to just be present with people with that.
That's why doing podcasting is great, man. Connecting with
Yeah,
people. There it goes
it's the
back to
best thing.
connecting again.
With that, let's leave our audience with your final words of wisdom.
So I think the quote is Oscar Wilde, I believe. I want to make sure I give credit to the right person. I saw it one time and I'm like, ooh, that hits. I think he says, be yourself, everyone else is taken. I kind of summarize it to be you, everyone else is taken. And we always see someone and we're like, oh, I like that outfit, or I like the way they carry themselves or what they're doing. Or if you're an athlete, I want to be the next Tom Brady. I want to be the next Michael Jordan. In business, I want to be the next, fill in the blank entrepreneur on the cover of Forbes. But man, I'll tell you what, here's what the world needs and wants. They want you, man. We want Caleb to be the person who's on that magazine cover. I mean, magazines are obsolete, but maybe the next viral video on social media or whatever. But it's because it's you. That's what I love about you, because you're you. Like you're not like any of the other shows I've been on. You're yourself, and the thing about me is I remind myself a lot to you can take things you learn from all these other people, but still at the end of the day, I'm Mike. And when I know that I wake up and go to bed and gratitude, one of the things I'm just grateful for is the opportunity to be me. And I think a lot of times people forget that their superpower in the world is that they get to be themselves and they can really create. We're all a ball of clay. And so go make it the greatest that you can. That's your responsibility for the rest of us.
Woo! Fire mic drop from mic'd up right there. There you go. Mic
There it
drop and
is.
mic'd up. I don't know
There
if
it
you have
is.
a sign off or something like that with that, but that might be a fire way to do it.
My sign
Dude,
off is be great and be grateful. And I'm grateful for your opportunity, brother.
love it, bro. This has been a great conversation. Dude, maybe we have to talk about that. I think I got to come back on your podcast. I got words to spout out of my head too. This was
I
great.
will
I
love to
just
have you on.
loved your story. Yeah, dude. Well, there we
Yeah.
go. Round two. Shucks, we get the friends get to
Round
hang
two.
out again. Man, don't you threaten me with a good time.
Caleb 2.0.
I'm on like 7.0 at this point, dude. I got to keep evolving. My wife is like, what is going on with you? Dude, I'm grateful for you. Thank you for sharing your stories today, man. I think the vulnerability of your story here through parenthood, through divorce, through all the things, entrepreneurship, all those things people need to hear. There's a lot of different ways to go from it. Even people just take one lesson from one piece. We're like, that's the stick point in where I'm at right
Mhm.
now. Maybe I needed to give myself permission to just be myself on something. Well, shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes seeing somebody else like, oh, they're doing it. Got it. Cool. Oh, that's possible, to break the belief that I am stuck. So I really valued a
Mhm.
lot of what you were talking about there today, man, and your willingness to take a leap of faith. Like, I love it. And just like we get to laugh together. Like I had a great time. So, dude,
Me
love you,
too.
man. And
Love it
everybody,
too.
go check out all the stuff. Go check out the links. They'll be in the show notes because I can't remember all that stuff either. I just got to click on links where they're at. Do that. Promise you, it'll be there. And yeah, looking forward to some more great conversations together. So thank you everybody for sharing your time, your energy with us. And until next time, love everybody.